What's up, everyone? It is time for another World Cup preview, moving right along in Group C with Mexico. You can find all of the World Cup previews I've done so far on YouTube. Be sure to hit that subscribe button right here on this channel so you can see the ones that have already happened, the ones that are going to as we get closer to the World Cup, as well as on Substack, touchlinetalk.substack.com, and they are slowly moving over to Medium as well, so you can find them there too. Mexico, 17th World Cup appearance. Last time they did not participate was 1990, so for the last, few decades, Mexico there consistently. Finished second in CONCACAF behind Canada. Only finished second because they had an inferior goal difference to the Canadians. Both teams 8 wins, 4 draws, 2 losses in that final round of CONCACAF qualifying, which Mexico got into automatically based on their FIFA World Ranking. Your key players to know here, got 3 of them. First, Hector Herrera. There have only been 2 players that started every game at the last 2 World Cups for Mexico. Hector Herrera is one of them. He also has 39 starts in the Champions League. He just came to Major League Soccer and is now with the Houston Dynamo after spending a few seasons with Atletico Madrid. He is part of this core that is sort of carrying over from 2018. He is one of the most important players on this team, one of the most experienced players on this team. And when you're looking at players that sort of define this team and are the heartbeat, to me, he's very quickly on that list. And so he's one of the guys I wanted to highlight because he's sort of the bridge from the past era and that 2018 team, and specifically the 2014 team as well. Sort of as the younger players from that team, now you're in your prime for 2018 and sort of still in your prime, but now one of the seasoned veterans for this upcoming World Cup. Second guy I want to highlight, Irving Lozano. 9 starts during qualifying. He had a goal and assist in the 2018 World Cup. He is one of the most dynamic attacking talents in CONCACAF, not only on this Mexican team, but in the entire region. And is also one of the most accomplished Mexican players at the club level with what he's done for Napoli. He's performing quite well in Serie A, regular contributor to that team. We're going to get to this a little bit later, so I don't want to touch on it here, but he also is going to have a huge role on this team with the way things are unfolding. He is one of their most creative talents. You need guys that are going to put the ball in the net and set others up to put the ball in the net. Irving Lozano is perhaps the single most reliable player in that area Mexico is going to have heading into this tournament. And you can't talk about the Mexican men's national team without talking about Guillermo Mimo Ochoa, the goalkeeper. This will be World Cup number 5 for him. Now, he didn't actually play until the 2014 World Cup. He sat on the bench for those first 2. But he has been around forever and is still an exceptional goalie, even this late into his career. I believe he's at season number 20 as a professional, which is just incredible to think about. And of course, he plays a position that lends itself to sort of becoming even more polished as you get older and allows you to play into your late 30s, which is exactly what he's done, and he's continuing to perform at a high level. Nobody has the kind of experience that he offers to this team on the guys you would think are going to make this roster. And he is quite simply still one of the most important players on the team. He's not just the starting goalkeeper. He is one of the better goalkeepers in the world. He has experience in Europe. He has World Cup experience. He has experience in Gold Cups. You name it. He's seen just about everything at this point. He has performed quite well in some of the bigger moments for Mexico, including World Cups. You're kind of waiting for the next goalkeeper to emerge, and there just hasn't been one. And so Guillermo Ochoa continues to get these opportunities, and he continues to produce. So there is absolutely no reason to make a goalkeeping change. He continues to play very, very well, so wanted to highlight him too. Breakout star. I'm going with Alexis Vega, and here's where we talk about the unfortunate injury to Jesus Corona, also known as Tecatito. Vega, we'll start with this part of it before we get to Tecatito. One of 3 players with multiple goals in World Cup qualifying. So he is starting to emerge as one of the key contributors in this attack. The reason, though, more than anything else I'm going with him, is that Tecatito suffered an injury at the club level, and it seems he is going to be unavailable for the World Cup. At the very least, he is going to be limited if he's somehow able to recover in time. Which leaves a massive hole opposite Irving Lozano on the wing. And so you have a guy in Alexis Vega who is starting to come into his own and starting to really cement himself as a key player in this team and somebody Tata Martino can rely on. And all of a sudden, you just lost a starter. And so this is all setting up for Vega to have this massive opportunity in Qatar to really shine, because you have to think he's going to get these minutes, and he's the front runner to replace Jesus Corona. And this is a team, I'll talk about this a little bit more later, but this is a team that needs goals and needs creative talent right now. So I expect him to have a big tournament, and not only is he the breakout star for Mexico for me, he could be one of the biggest winners, quote unquote, of this entire tournament in terms of stock rising internationally because of this opportunity that seems to be presented to him with these unfortunate circumstances surrounding Tecatito. But somebody's going to have to step up. Injuries are going to happen in the lead up to this tournament. Mexico got hit with a big one early on, which again, really, really tough break. Hope Tecatito recovers, and we'll see what happens over the next few months in terms of his status. But breakout player, Alexis Vega, there is a spot that needs to be filled. I'm looking at him as the guy to fill it. The reason for optimism, to me, is pretty simple. This team has been there before. I talked about sort of this core group, guys like Hector Herrera, guys like Memo Ochoa. There are plenty of players that are going to be on this squad that have World Cup experience. Tata Martino, their manager, got Paraguay to a World Cup quarterfinal. He also has World Cup experience. And you contrast that with their 2 rivals to the north in what the U.S. are going to bring to this tournament and what Canada are going to bring to this tournament. And yes, the U.S. will have some World Cup experience on the roster, but that is an incredibly young group. Most of those guys have not been there before because the U.S. didn't make it in 2018. Canada's bringing an entirely new squad. And so, if you're looking for something positive and a reason to believe in Mexico, to me, it really is that simple. There is a group of players. You have some youth that's going to get infused in here, guys like Alexis Vega. But you have a solid foundation of players. Chucky Lozano falls into this category too. I failed to mention him with Herrera and Ochoa. You have this group of guys who have been there before at least once, if not twice. And you sort of have it from up the, not necessarily up the spine of the team, but you've got it at the goalkeeper, you've got it in the midfield, and you've got it up top with some of the options Tata Martino has there, including Lozano. That is what I'm looking at. If you want to say Mexico is going to have a good World Cup, to me it's the experience and the fact that they've been there before. This is from the manager to the players. This is nothing new. They qualify every single time, and they tend to show up pretty well when they actually get to the World Cup. The big question is the one you can't ignore when Mexico goes to a World Cup. And it is simply, is this streak going to ever end? 7 straight World Cups they have lost in the round of 16. Every single time they get out of the group stage, and every single time they have lost that first knockout game. It is just part of the conversation surrounding this team every World Cup until the streak ends. So the question is this the year, the World Cup, finally something, for better or worse, happens that it's not a exit in the round of 16. And in terms of sort of the overall situation heading into this World Cup, Tata Martino is on the hot seat, make no mistake about it. Qualifying from a Mexican expectation perspective was not great. You also have to remember this team lost 2 finals to the U.S. recently. And the other big problem here is, where are the goals coming from? What is this attack going to look like? You thought you had a striker in Raul Jimenez. He's really struggling right now. Chicharito is there, but has not been a factor in this national team. So I find it hard to believe Tata Martino is going to pull the trigger and bring him to Qatar. It could happen. But that's a guy who has not scored for the national team in an extended period of time because he's just been out of the picture. I mentioned the injury to Tecatito. That's another creative player and a goal scorer who's gone. And so all of a sudden, it's just becoming really difficult to score goals, and you don't have many players you're feeling confident about their ability to carry an offense. So that is the other worrying part of this for me. I'm not putting all that much weight on these recent struggles and sort of losing hold of CONCACAF, this grip they had on the continent for so long. I see them as Team 3. Based on performances, based on squad. I'm all in on Canada, and this U.S. team has too many incredibly promising young players to ignore. But if you're asking me which one of these teams I'm going to bet on to have the most success at this World Cup, there's a real argument Mexico is at least in the conversation for number 1, if not number 1. Just because they've been there before, these guys know how to do it. They show up every single time, which is also true of the U.S., which makes this a really interesting conversation. These CONCACAF teams, the better ones, when they come to World Cups, they give a good account of themselves. And certainly Mexico is at the top of that list. The question, that will be the question until the end of time, until finally something happens, is can they get to the round 16 again, and can they go even further? This is not their best opportunity to do so. They are not heading in on a great note. But it's happened before, and they've still found a way to at least get to the round of 16 and give themselves a chance with those 90 minutes to get to a World Cup quarterfinal. That's all we've got on Mexico. Thanks so much for tuning in. Be sure to hit that subscribe button right on YouTube, and we'll see you next time.